Alright, I just decided to make a video on cutting weight for a powerlifting meet. There's a couple reasons why I decided to do it. I've got a buddy who's cutting weight to make the 198 class, and I just recently thought of a good way to think about cutting weight for a powerlifting meet. I wrote some notes down for myself here. Alright, so basically the way I look at it is like this. If my son starts giggling, don't mind. He's sitting beside me in his little bumbo seat, just chilling, listening to me talk about cutting weight for powerlifting, so he knows a thing or two. The way I look at it is like this. Your weight, your body weight, and the amount of food that you consume is your salary. It's how much money you're making, okay? Your activity is how much money you're spending. And the more activity you do, the more money you're spending. But your salary is going to remain the same until your weight starts to drop, and now your salary goes down. But you might be spending even more because you're doing more activity to try to cut weight via cardio or whatever you're doing. Another way that you can spend money when you're cutting is by reducing your caloric intake. The more calories that you burn, the more money you're spending. And we all know that the more money you spend, the harder it is to pay your bills. If you're on a set salary, you're only making X amount of dollars, but you're spending more, so you have less in your bank account. Well, in your body, you burn more calories or put fewer in while burning more, you're going to have less left in the tank to hit lifts in the gym. Typically, people run into problems when they start cutting towards the end of their peaking cycle. People will think, oh, I'll just cut. Who are you talking to? I'll just use the last 4 or 5 weeks to cut. No problem. You know, the problem with that is in the last 4 or 5 weeks, that's when most people are hitting their heaviest lifts. And what are they doing? They're trying to hit their heaviest lifts at the lightest body weight with the fewest amount of calories and the most amount of activity that they've done throughout their entire training cycle in prep for the meet. That makes no sense at all. So, my rule for cutting is this. You cut as little as possible. In other words, stay within striking distance of your weight class. And what that means is I'm talking within 5 pounds. And when you make your cut, you take the path of least resistance and the path that allows for the easiest reversal. Typically, that's going to be a water cut. Obviously, some ways to get that back into your system are drinking plenty of fluids, Pedialyte, lots of electrolytes, Gatorade, water. I know some people go the IV route. I've never done that. I know some federations. Yeah, I know. I would never do that either. Some federations don't allow that. Some federations do. So, obviously, that would be a very quick way to get fluids back into your system. But obviously, you would need to know what the heck you were doing if you were going to do that. And you know, like I said, cut as little as possible. Obviously, some people can make a bigger cut and have less of an impact on their body. But, you know what? The only way you're going to know is to try. And here's some rules of thumb that I would follow if you try and you fail. There's 2 problems. There's 2 things. It could be A, you did it wrong. You cut way too much and your cut was wrong. Or B, you know what? It's time for you to just move up. Move up a weight class. I think the whole idea of powerlifting, the main idea of it anyways, when it all got started, was to see how strong you can be. It was never, I know, I agree. It was never about how strong can I be at 198 or how strong can I be at 165. It's about how strong you can be. So if that means moving up a weight class and being stronger, well, duh, do it. Okay? Unless you're super awesome and you're trying to set some super amazing record, forget being a certain weight just get as strong as you possibly can. So remember, your weight is your salary, okay? The amount of activity you're doing is how much money you're spending. Anytime you cut calories or lose weight, you've spent more or your salary has gone down. So your cut is going to have a greater impact on your overall performance. Remember, cut as little as possible. Take the path of least resistance. Most times that's a water cut, when that can be replaced much faster and much more efficiently than glycogen. A lot of people don't realize how hard it is to get glycogen back into your muscle if you spent 4, 5, 6 days, maybe a week or 2 weeks, cutting your calories, cutting your carbohydrates. You can't just sit down and pig out one night and expect your glycogen stores to be refilled. That takes several days. So water is typically your best bet. And then, final, if it's too hard to cut, if it's killing you at the meet, maybe it's time for you to move up.